Again, we find ourselves at a hearing examining the management failures at the EPA. We've seen numerous examples of fraud, unprofessional behavior, cronyism, and outright theft at the EPA. The most egregious example of this involved Mr. John Beal. Mr. Beal did not work for a decade while claiming to work for the CIA, a complete lie that his supervisors blindly accepted as fact. This is just one example among many of the glaring management failures at the EPA. It is well past time that someone be held accountable for these management failures. And today, we will discuss more problems concerning EPA employees, including the outrageous behavior of now retired EPA employee Peter Jutro. Mr. Jutro was the acting associate administrator for the EPA Office of Homeland Security. He also happens to be a serial sexual harasser. As a result of an Inspector General investigation, we now know that Mr. Jutro sexually harassed at least 16 women while working at the EPA. Even worse, EPA senior management was aware of his history of harassing women, but continued to promote him. EPA management never even took the time to talk to his direct supervisor, who had verbally warned Mr. Jutro several times about his unacceptable behavior. In essence, there was no consequence for this abhorrent behavior. By turning a blind eye, EPA management allowed at least 6 more women to be harassed by Mr. Jutro, and we know this because of the good work by the men and women who serve in the Inspector General's office. When Mr. Jutro was finally placed on paid leave, he quickly retired with full pension benefits to avoid being interviewed by the IG about these allegations. And part of what I hope we look for in this committee moving forward are ways that the Inspector General can continue their investigation and continue to be able to compel somebody to participate in their investigation, pardon me, in their investigations, that they can't just simply retire and get a get-out-of-jail-free card. In addition to Mr. Jutro, there are continued problems with EPA employees who watch pornography at work. To date, we are aware of 2 employees who have admitted to watching pornography several hours each and every day. It's a miracle they did any work at all, and maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. We don't know. Even more insulting to taxpayers is that after the Inspector General reported these abuses, the porn-watching employees were placed on paid administrative leave for almost a year before anybody even tried to fire them. Now, these people were being paid roughly in the neighborhood of about $120,000 a year. One of these employees finally retired after almost a year of paid leave. The other employee is still collecting his government salary, and he, too, has been on paid administrative leave for almost a year. The American taxpayers continue to pay this person. If you're sitting there watching hours of porn on your government computer, fire them. Fire them. Then let them try to come back and claw it. But there's so much overwhelming evidence about what these people were doing. This pattern of paid administrative leave followed by retirement with full benefits is totally and wholly unacceptable. It rewards bad behavior and leaves taxpayers footing the bill. Now, it is totally unfair to suggest that most, all, or anything in between of these employees are participating in this abhorrent behavior. Most of the people, the overwhelming majority of the people who work at the EPA and other departments and agencies within the federal government, they're good, honest, decent people working hard. They're trying to do the right thing. They're patriotic in their approach. But I think we as a body, as an institution, that the EPA and others, the Congress, we have a duty and obligation to the American taxpayer to fire the people who are abusing the system. Get rid of them. Kick them out of there. But that doesn't seem to happen in the EPA from our viewpoint, our perch here. You know, we've got some good inspector generals who've done some good quality work here. But when we know about these people who are participating in sexual harassment more than a dozen times, and that person isn't fired, that's a huge problem. A lot of good people work at the EPA, and they do a lot of good, important work. But when we have a bad apple, we've got to get rid of them. Some of these good employees became victims of harassment due to these continued management failures. And that's the sad thing. You know, somebody's going to do something stupid, but if you don't take care of it immediately the first time, then there are more victims. And that's the case, and that's why we're here today. In addition, high-performing employees become discouraged when they see management rewarding bad behavior or ignoring clear signs of misconduct. There can be probably nothing more demoralizing than knowing that somebody has this problem, it's affecting others, nothing's done about it, and then they get promoted. So the committee will continue to look at exploring legislative solutions to encourage agencies to weed out the bad actors while protecting the rights of the vast majority of good employees, creating a good, positive work environment so that we can get the job done. And we as a nation, I say this several times, we look at these things in an open, transparent way, and we do so in the effort to make it better. And that's why we have this panel here today. Now,